So there's been a lot of comic book adaptations this year, and we decided to go and see Kick-Ass 2 at the George Street Event Cinemas, where Kings also had a trivia night, which was a lot of fun. So, Sonya, what did you think of the film?
I really didn't like it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll put it out there. I really didn't. I thought that the structure of the film was woeful. It was just kind of quick action, 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 and then a really forced emotional scene, and then action, action, action. Like I vagued out a lot through this. I also didn't think the character development within this was very well done. A lot of the characters didn't change at all, or if they did, it was kind of a weird change that didn't make sense in the context of the film.
Yeah.
And there was also one particular scene which I won't go into details with, but I was so offended by that I almost walked out of the cinema.
Oh, I think I know which one.
Yeah,
And it
I
had
definitely
nothing to
know
do
which
with any of the violence.
one.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find the violence, too much or over the top
No.
at all. In fact, in this film, it was something quite different.
Different.
But, sorry, Al, what did you think of the film?
Well, I think, there were the structural problems. I put it down to a lack of momentum. There didn't seem to be a strong through line in this. It was kind of bits and pieces all over the place, which I tend to attribute to them trying to take in too much from the source material, because there was Hit Girl series and Kick-Ass 2
Kick-Ass
that they
2.
were taking from, and as a result, they were just all over the place. There was just the lack of any kind of through line. There were cool characters that didn't come back, just showed up once and then just disappeared, and that bugged me. Also, I felt, and this is supposed to be something that's a real strong theme in this, is consequences.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big long speeches about how this is the real world and bad things happen, there are consequences to your actions, but it didn't display that at all. I mean, there's one character who gets killed, one of the
guys.
superhero characters who gets killed, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they get beat up, they've got a bruise the next day, and then he's fine. I assume it's the next day. The sense of time was again all over the place.
A lot of policemen died.
Yeah, billions of them.
They're very
Policemen
incompetent
in this city
in
are
this place.
terrible,
Yeah.
absolutely terrible policemen. But the other thing that really bugged me was the lack of a strong antagonist. Because we've got Christopher Mintz-Plass's character, it was Red Mist in the previous film, Chris D'Amico, pardon me.
Yep.
He's supposed to be the big bad in this, but he's basically comic relief.
Yeah.
I mean, in the book, he does some things that he's still ineffectual in a lot of ways, but he does some things that are unforgivably evil.
Yeah.
In this movie, he does nothing except be a figure of fun. And that doesn't make for any kind of tension when it comes to the final face-off.
Yeah, well, exactly. And he's supposed to be stepping up to the plate,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
He talks about that a lot.
I'm the first supervillain.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you're really
No,
not.
you're
No,
not.
you're a wet blanket.
Yeah.
But no, it's exactly, both of you have mentioned the same thing, character development, and that led me to, a lack of empathy for any of the characters.
Yeah.
It's like a cut and paste of a myriad of other films. A bit of Mean Girls in there, which I think was a bit of an odd choice.
Certainly was.
And then a little bit of Mystery Men, perhaps.
Yeah.
Look, most of all, I was deeply offended. I feel like a bit of a prude, but I thought it was just a lot of shock value. In the first one, there was elements of that. Various, profanities were said, a certain amount of violence. Yeah. But I think it was measured against, some really strong dramatic tones, which I gave credence to the whole situation, the reality, as you mentioned again. In this, I thought everything was just throw everything out of the window. We're going to be as offensive as possible.
Well, if you're going to resort to visible diarrhea on screen, I think that's when you wave the white flag and say, we don't have anything going on, we're just purely
I know, is it a spoof film? I don't even...
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Exactly. It was too far.
Yeah, well,
Too far.
On that note, was it better than the first film?
No. I loved the first film. I thought it was a great adaptation. I found it hilarious. I found it very insightful. I found it, the action in it was really well done. It was a lot more violent, I think, than this one was.
I agree.
And, having Hit Girl for the first time burst onto onto the screens, it was amazing to see this little kid just being amazing.
I like the action better too in the first one.
Yeah.
Much better choreographed.
Much better choreographed.
That it actually had that consequence element to
Yeah.
it that was completely absent from this film. It had that sense of momentum. It had that cool comic book feel, which again absent from this film.
That, yeah.
Which, shockingly, to be honest.
Do you think that it will encourage people to read the comic book then? I mean, the first one you know.
The first one definitely would have, I
Yeah.
would say.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I cannot see anyone coming out of this going, oh, I might check out that comic book. Like,
Which is a shame,
It's a shame, 'cause
honestly,
it's actually
because
quite
there
good.
I mean, I gotta say, I prefer the first Kick-Ass book
Yep.
to the sequels, but there's still a lot of good stuff in the sequels, and I hope people don't get put off the comic because of this
Because of
movie,
it,
because
yeah.
it really is fairly dire.
Well, that's what we thought. Here's what some of you thought. All right, you just came out of the film. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff I liked, and some stuff I need to rewatch and see a second time.
I enjoyed it. Doesn't quite hit the heights of the first film for me,
Yeah.
but still very, very fun, very cool.
How long do I have to tell you how horrible this movie is?
We got a few minutes.
First of all, trying to make a rape scene funny. Rape scenes are never funny. I was this close to walking out of the cinema. There was this whole weird Mean Girls section in the middle there, where, you know, Hit Girl went from being herself to being one of the plastics and then stayed a plastic the entire time, even when she knew that it was wrong. It was like, instead of going back to her normal awesome self, she kept the hair and the makeover and the stuff, which was so unnecessary. There were just plot lines all over the place. There was way too much going on at once. None of the characters lived up to their true potential at all. I was really disappointed.
I thought it was absolutely incredible. It definitely lived up to the standard set by the first one, and it didn't suffer from the curse of the sequels. Sequels normally suck. This one was nothing like that.
I thought it was really good, actually. It, like most sequels, they can suck, and they often do. Not always. This one, very good, very good.
Amazing.
Yes.
I've been waiting for it for a long time, but
Yes.
it was just amazing. So good.
Have you read the comics?
No, I haven't, but I think I will now. I think I'm going to have to.
I absolutely loved it. Every single moment of it. It is just such, it's just an emotional roller coaster. It's just so cool. Had everything that was great about the first one, and it just amplified it. It was just, yeah.
And do you think it leaves room for a third? There's a third comic series, so...
Did you, right at the end, there's always that little blip at the end. There's a blip at the end! And yeah, number 3, definitely.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, guys.